I got a friend of mine just opened a brand new company, and he's like, it's a friend of mine. He's my daughter's boyfriend. And it's still in high school, so he's not like my friend, but I'm coaching him somewhat, right? And he's like, can I please buy you lunch? And he's like the biggest entrepreneur I've ever seen at 15 years old. And I'm like, how are you going to get to lunch? Like, I'm going to Uber. I'm like, you're skipping school. My daughter's like, please, Dad, just meet with him. Please, please, please. And I met him before. He's a great kid. So I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I said, first of all, I don't want you missing school again to meet me. He's like, all right, this just happened this week. We sit down. He's building a digital marketing business, kind of like what you're looking. He's building this. And I'm like, and he knows I know this. And I'm like, well, look, I can get you in touch with some people to teach you more. I said, but what are you doing with your first client? He's like, well, I'm really nervous. Like I have this client in Gastonia, and it's just so funny here. 15-year-old dude. It's like, I got this client. They sell wheelchair ramps. They're wanting to do some digital marketing. I've taken every class on YouTube. I've done all these things to learn it. And that's another thing you do. You want to learn it so nobody can fuck you over. But you know, he's picking it up and he's like, so I'm going to do it. I don't know what to tell him. I said, well, first of all, you got to act as if you have 1,000 customers. You can't act as if they're the first one, because nobody wants to be the first one. You can make a mistake and say, hey, we're kind of new. But you never say, I don't have any customers. You're my first. Like, you never lie. If they ask, you tell the truth. They don't ask. You want to assume that you're the biggest and baddest out there. I said, when we were very small, and I used a salt thing, I said, we were very small in Michigan or North Carolina. We were this big. We advertised like we were this big. And people are like, fuck, that's a big ass company. It took a while to get to be big, but we acted as if, we showed as if, we marketed and branded as if we were so large. Like you said, we were the decision. If anyone was going to do it, they were like, those are the big guys. And, you know, we weren't big always. We started small, but we've acted like we were huge from day one, because that's confidence, and confidence closes deals. So the brand has to have confidence. Will and Brian, you guys have similar personalities, different backgrounds, but similar personalities of not letting go. And therefore you put too much on your plate where you can't eat it fast enough. And then the next meal comes up and you ain't even done with the first meal. So you have to have that thought process of, okay, you've got to learn to delegate, and you've got to learn to work smarter. Not that you're not smart, neither one of you guys. I'm talking about working smarter by putting the right resources in place where you can utilize your strengths, like you mentioned, Brian, which is important, because you know, I go back to, I always say this, when we all are guilty of it. We all try to do too much. We put too much on our plate, and then we weren't able to move forward because we're too busy managing instead of growing. And in each position, leadership has to grow, and they have people that report to them that manage. No matter what part of the business you're in, customer service, sales, marketing, doesn't matter, financial. That's how it has to be. And where your strengths are, you got to have to find people to be able to carry the load, or you're going to sit there and you're going to be stagnant. Eventually, you can get somewhat resentful. It can get exhausting. It can affect your personal life, where it's like, oh my goodness, I'm doing all this. And really, if I wasn't jumping over dollars to get quarters, and I just added a person here or used this resource here, then I wouldn't have to be like that. And dive in and have to do every what I call $5 decision. Leaders shouldn't be making $5 decisions. And that's hard to say, because I used to make every decision until I got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't fucking work till 2 a.m. every day. I just can't. Because there was a time that I did. And I had to start, letting go and letting go and letting go. I have a guy that owns a windows and siding company out of Ohio. They've been open like 75 years. He's a friend of mine. He's an attorney. And he's like, Jayson, you need to come in and give it the Jayson love, the B12 shot to do digital. And I'm like, he's like, we've got this name for 75 years. Everyone fucking knows us. I get it. But not everybody knows you, right? They know you when it's convenient. They know you because they see you on TV, but every day people are fucking turning off their televisions and they're fucking watching social media. Every day people are too busy watching Hulu or Netflix or Amazon. You got to be on fucking, the line cutters, the cable cutters. You got to be part of, that community over there to be advertising, not on media, because media is a dying breed. Media is top level only. It's like, hey, I've already got a brand with Brickworks. I want to fucking, continue to tout my name, because it builds credibility and it builds confidence in your sales reps, which is important. That's why you brand. You do not brand and think you're going to get dollars out of it. Branding is a loss, but it's a necessary loss when you're building a business. It's a fact. Like, we would spend almost $10 million a month in branding and marketing. And Power Home Repeat. 2 million of it was branding. 8 million of it was lead gen. So 2 million of it, we're already in the hole. But what does that mean? Well, that means we've got TV, we've got billboards, we've got wrapped cars, we've got, radio, we've got Hulu, we've got, direct TV, we've got YouTube, like just videos about branding. Then the rest is all lead gen. It's all authority pages. I love what you said about being the authority page. Authority pages means you have the education, you educate people. In today's world, Jeremiah, they don't want to be bought. They don't want to be sold. They want to make a decision. And when you have digital ads, you're empowering them to read about it and you're empowering them to make a decision. And when you do that, it's stronger than trying to sell them something. People want to make their own decisions. They feel confident doing it. Like, oh, I just read this. Like, I want to do this, right? I'm not a big fan of the gimmicks and let's do this. Like, yeah, you're going to get buyers like that. They're like we have, like, we have like free installation or, no interest, however your ads run, right? That you're able to take that and get those grabs. But the more important ads are those authority pages that educate why. Like, why is concrete important? Why is this restoration important? What can it do? This is for this can change your life. Here's why. Here's the value of it. Here's this, here's that. All of a sudden people read it or they see a video about it and they see you talking, or maybe you got somebody else talking and you're just being natural. They want to make you humanized. And they're like, fuck, I like this guy. All of a sudden they're paying attention. And then now they're reading about it, like, fuck, honey, we got to do this. And you're getting those, and you're what I call creating the marketplace. We did that at Power Home. We went into markets, nobody fucking had solar. When I came into Michigan, nobody fucking had solar. When I went into fucking North Carolina, nobody had solar. Well, I mean, it was very fucking small. The small guy over there in fucking East Michigan doing 2 a fucking month. Like, that was it. I came in and changed it because we were doing all the top level branding and marketing, which made it intriguing. But it was really the authority pages and the digital that brought the consumers in, where they were learning how solar works, where they were appreciating what solar can do, where they were seeing what the utility companies were doing. And they were like, I want to learn more. And that's how it works. Here's the other problem entrepreneurs or business owners or leaders struggle with. It's like, all right, I'm going to hold on to this C or D that I have because I don't have anyone to fill the space. I'm going to go look for an A or B. You have to be careful of that, but I hate that. I hate that we're held what I call hostage to that situation. And that sucks. And it happens to everybody, no matter how big or small a business is. You feel hostage to a situation. So I'm a big believer of having multiple people know the job and building up our bench. Right. So if we've got somebody doing this job, they've got to have their replacement that they're grooming so they can move up. So therefore, when you lose a piece, people just shift and you're never hurting. We mastered that in the solar company pretty well. We didn't get to do that really well in the security company. So it's, it took time to really say, okay, we've got to develop leadership and then an assistant leader and then a leader over here and an assistant leader. So if we lose somebody, we're gone. If we lose somebody over here, we can place them over in this other department.
Easily merge them.
You always want to have multiple people know the job, because if you have somebody you have one editor and, they're cutting your stuff and then you're stuck, you're asked out, you're handcuffed to, I can't get rid of this person, even though they suck. Absolutely. I deal with it still to this day. Like, I had, one person finding, commercials for us and advertising for us. And it's like, I have to sit here and tolerate her shit. Right. And it's like, till I just I'm not going to anymore. Sometimes you rip the Band-Aid off. Sometimes it sucks. You got to pick up the pieces. That's why I like to learn things on my own as well. So I'm not held hostage. Well, it just depends. I mean, I'm a big believer of bringing people along for the ride. So you want them rowing the same way you are. They want to see the advancement. You want to work on your profitability and bonus them on the profit so they feel like they're an owner or they're a partner. Because I think that's important. When you just compensate a leader just based on just sales or just dollars, not overall, then they're just about that sale thing. And look, sometimes that's okay. But I what I've learned is it's when they care about everything, they'll turn the lights off. They'll pick the soda pop that they buy at the store. Wink, wink, Brian. Yeah. And, little things that happen that you figure out and you're like, okay, I need someone that's going to think like me and that's going to care about the overall health and profitability of the entire company, not just sales or clients, because you might have clients, but it might be costing you more. You might lose on some clients and you don't want them to just go wheel and deal. You want to be profitable. And I think that if you're going to bring someone along on that, you want them to, eat, breathe, shit, sleep, everything you're doing, think like you, be a little mini you, and then you hand them that responsibility. And then you bonus them on your profits, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking to a lady now that owns a lash company, and she crushes it. She probably does, I'm not kidding, $400,000 a year or so. And she's like, I don't want to share. I don't want to add people, but I want to grow. What do I?
Sure.
Right. She should have been on this call because she's signing
Mm-hmm.
up. But I said, look, can't be greedy. You're going to have to give some of that up. A small piece of a big pie is a lot more than a big piece of a small pie. And you have to be willing to think like that. Okay, I don't mind giving them some of that because I'm going to expand this and it doesn't matter. We all win. And that's what it takes. And so you train that little mini me. I think it's, if you get to the point where you're overwhelmed, if you get to the point where it's like, I don't have enough time to grow my business, I'm too busy managing my business, then you need to find someone that you can train ASAP to manage it so you can grow it. Because that's the thing. If you're only managing it, you're not growing it, then you're stagnant.
True.
So if you're at that point, then you need to start making that move. And don't think title is so important, right? So to some people, different things make people tick. Sometimes it's title, sometimes it's money, sometimes whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
If you've got that right-hand person, you don't need to just pop and make them the CEO. They could be the director of, the VP of,
got it.
Right?
Yeah.
And then you have more room to grow because you got to be careful. Once you hand them the key, you can't get it back. Like if you put them at the top of the line, there's nowhere to fucking go. So you almost want to ease them up so they have more growth, because once they get to the top, I tell people like the only place they can go is fucking down.
Yeah.
So you want to have stairs for them to continue to climb. Yeah. I made the mistake. I'm like, all right, you're a president, you're a VP. And then it's like, well, fuck, now we're huge and I really need a real president. No offense to this guy. We've outgrown him.
Yeah, like someone
what do I do
bring
now?
All this value more. Yeah.
Right. But if I'd have made that person a senior director or, you know, a VP, then I have room to bring someone in as we grow, because you will outgrow people. Your business will outgrow folks. It's normal. It happens, you know, and I remember on my team, like we outgrew other people and I was like, well, shit, you know, we're going to have to bring people in and give them other titles and shift around. And what do we do? And I've learned over time that you can't put them at the top of the line because there's nowhere to go. You don't need that title. The title won't do it. And what you can tell them is, look, eventually you're going to be my COO. I'm not big enough to have a COO right now. So you're the director of operations, but eventually you're going to train your replacement as we grow, and you're going to be the VP. And then after the VP, like you give them, like I told you, they want to see where it can go. They want to see the opportunity. Exactly. Oh, I've got that. Then they get excited, and it's not insulting because, you know, they'll understand. You're not, you know, depending, if you only got 15 employees, you don't need a COO. You need someone managing your operations. If you give them that title COO and all of a sudden you get to 1,000 clients and you got 300 or 400 employees, guess what? That person might not should have been the COO, and then you're cutting them off. And
that's true.
That's unfortunate. And I've been there. I've done that. And that sucks.
Yeah.
You got to pay attention to that. You got to empower, you got to trust. Somebody told me a long time ago, the only way to grow is to trust people, you know, and I'm a control freak. I like to know everything, feel like I can move the needle on everything. But the truth is that I'm great at a few things. I'm okay at some things and I suck at some things. That's normal. And so you got to surround yourself with different people that have different attributes, you know, different skill sets that you might be lacking. And sometimes that's hard to do because it is hard to trust people. I've been burned many times, but then there's also times that I haven't been burned. And, you know, if you think of yourself as a big tree and you want other people to grow and they're a tree, well, if you block their sunshine, they can't grow. You have to be able to allow them to shine in order to grow. So you have a good forest instead of just one tree. And it's the same thing in business. When you're adding people on your team, you have to entrust them and you have to let them shine and grow. Otherwise, you know, they're not going to do anything. And people usually take a job or want a career or join a team because they want to see career advancement. They want to see opportunity. They want to see the potential to really, hey, if I start here, where can I be in 6 months? Where can I be in 2 years? Where can I be in 3 years? They want to grow with the company, or they want to see trajectory of growth of where they're going to be next, right? Or the second reason is money, or the third reason is culture. And so you've got to combine all three of those in order to keep good people motivated. I'm a big believer in like awards or contests or, you know, showing proof of I've hired this person and now they've moved here. Look at this. This can be you. And now they've moved here and this can be you. When they see that, it becomes real to them. So I have a 2-hour rule. 75, 80 mile rule, 2-hour rule. Any market I open, we're going to cover everything up to 80 miles. Every now and then we get greedy. We push to 100, right? Marketing team's like, fuck that. We need a little bit more, right? Because it's hot there. But we start with 75, 80. We opened up the one right here in the flooring business, Kannapolis, 75-mile radius. First month did, I told you, like fucking 40 deals. The next month did like 60 deals. The next month did 120 deals, right? It's we're in one fucking city, not really one city, one what I call district. A district is about a 75 or 80 mile radius over that city. That allows me, I like to grow like the mushroom. We talked about this a little bit before. I open Raleigh, that 80 miles will touch. So now I can have these guys cover some of those leads and I can have those guys cover some of these leads, right? But I'm big. If it's fucking 2 hours or less, motherfuckers running the appointment. Like, I don't give a fuck, running the appointment, and hire people on that side of town. You interview and be like, I'm going to get shit for you down there. That's another way to be strategically do it. That's what we would do. If we had hot markets that it was pushing at the border of where our reps were too far, because God forbid your reps on the other side of your 75-mile radius. That's 150. You can't do it, right? It's almost impossible. I tell them you're going to have to drive in my 75-mile radius. I don't give a shit where you live, but to make it convenient where a guy's not on the road for 3 hours, 4 hours an appointment, I try to hire people around. I pay attention on a map. I have our HR team. That's what I do. Where do we have people? Like, we're not going to say no to a good sales rep, but we need to focus on trying to get somebody over on that side of town. Some of these guys on the call, they've worked with me for a long time. And, I think somebody came into mind recently for them that they were like, we need to fire this person. So, I'm not going to say it's 100% accurate. I'm going to say it's about 90% accurate. 9 times out of 10. If you're thinking about firing somebody, you probably should. But every now and then you'll be surprised and go, okay, they just needed a kick in the ass. I think we have that now with a girl that works for us where everyone was like, all right, get rid of her. Well, now it's like, okay, well, she might be able to step up. We'll see. Time's to tell. I mean, I've never, ever, ever in my life have said, oh, I shouldn't have fired that person. Never. Yeah. People don't want to feel like they're putting in the same work, getting paid the same if someone taking advantage of it and you're not strong enough to move on from them. That's going to bother them. There'll be resentment. And there shouldn't have to be, but there is. Yeah. I mean, that's the 80-20 rule that I kind of live by, right? Like, that's why I'm always replacing, the bottom 20% or believe in that in most cases, because they're the ones that are holding everyone else back. And then those folks are getting resentful because, they're just riding the train. They're not moving the train. They're not pushing the train. They're just taking the ride. So if it's your first time, it's always hard. I've done it probably
That's why it's so hard.
Times,
and I'm such a
right? I had some intimidation the first business I ever opened was a home security business. And, a lot of family members, everybody was like, oh, you ain't going to be able to do it. And I was intimidated. I didn't finish traditional high school. I didn't go to college. And I was hiring people older than me that had education. So I was intimidated. I was insecure. And these guys were like, the door knocked and they came from ADT and they had all this experience and we were building van teams and, there was times I had to make decisions on people to where it was like, I just got frustrated. We would have a sales meeting. We had this wheel that we would spin and give out money if they sold a deal. Be like, remember that, Kenny? Kenny used to run the van program. So, we would do that. And we had these guys that worked for us. And I was like, our numbers sucked and we're giving out money. We're dancing. I'm like, look, we need people to work Saturday. And I said, who's, willing to work Saturday? And there were people with big goose eggs, zeros on the board that would not raise their hand to work. And they were just like not listening in the meeting and kind of disrespectful. And I fucking snapped. I snapped and I said, so nobody's going to do it? And I said, well, so I looked at one guy, I said, hey, you've got 0. You're not going to work Saturday. So no, I said, get the fuck out of the office. Like I did it the wrong way. The fuck out of the office. He walked out and then I looked at anybody else. I said, anybody else with a 0 not working Saturday? Now it took me all of this, anxiety, all of me harboring this. How do I do it? Holding on till I snapped. You don't want to go to that point, right? Because I could have just, moved on from people. Now with all these years and thousands of people, unfortunately, more thousands that I've hired, but several hundred to 1,000 I've probably personally fired. I just keep it short and sweet. Hey, I think we're going to go a different direction. I wish you the best. I'll give you a great reference. Less is more. The more detailed you get, the more personal it becomes.